Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So exactly a week ago, I was in the second place in the world to celebrate Shabbat in, after Temple Judea. There's a synagogue in Jerusalem. It's not even a synagogue. It's called Beit Tfilah Israeli, an Israeli house of worship. And they, during the summer, have Kabbalot Shabbat on the beach in Tel Aviv. It's the new port in Tel Aviv. They close off an area where 1,000 people can sit, and then probably another 300 or 400 Israelis that are curious, kind of with their bathing suits, to see what's happening. And you're praying, looking into the ocean. They begin about 40 minutes before the sunset, so by the time you get to Lechadodi, the sun is setting into. And they say, you know, it's very interesting because in Israel, when you're outside of Israel, you're supposed to face east, so that you think of Israel and Jerusalem. But when you're in Israel, you're supposed to face Jerusalem, which when you're in Tel Aviv, if you're looking out to the water, that's not where Jerusalem. You're supposed to look to the south, southeast. And I love, Esteban Gottfried said, you know what, my friends? This is so beautiful. And actually, if you keep looking past the ocean and go all the way around, you'll get to Jerusalem. So, and getting to Jerusalem is not about the physical Jerusalem. It's about the sense of Yerushalayim. It's about our yearning to feel peace. I'm looking at the people here, and so many of you know maybe dodged a bullet this week from not a real bullet, but of news. Many of you here are remembering loved ones, some that have passed many years ago, others that have just suffered loss very recently. Others just are here because they want to connect to their temple family. They want to sense that sense of peace. So what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't matter where you look. Somewhere in that vision, that path of light, there is peace. And that peace begins here, today, tonight, on Friday, as we take a deep breath and turn to someone next to us and wish them from the bottom of our hearts. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom.
Page 11. Shabbat, reminding us that you showed up today, which means you are ready to receive God, to receive Shabbat. So we say thank you, God, for making this moment a holy one. So join with me. Yai-lai.
Bottom of 11.
We say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Illinois, as if you're sitting on a plane in row 46, chair C. And behind you, there's a crying baby. In front of you, there's a crying baby. To your left, there's a crying baby. And when you land in Miami, you go, Yeladim ze simcha. Kids are a joy. Not always yours, but somebody's. And now let's concentrate. That's it, I had to vent. Israelis like babies. They have a lot of them. I had my share of 4, and I flew with them. I didn't realize how stressful it was for everyone around me. Let's share the simchas. The simcha is the plane took off, the plane landed. I'm here. Jonathan is here. He's really, really tired. He's in his room, in my room, but in my office. But maybe he'll join us later. But we have a lot of other simchas over here. Joy, it's so good you're here. That is a simcha. Iris, Richard, your son and granddaughter are visiting us from California, and you were here last 11 years ago when you were 4 months old. Yeah, and you got a blessing from Rabbi Levine. Today we're going to once every 10 years, it's like a car in Israel. I have to check and have a blessing. That's good. Very, very nice. Dee is here. Dean, almost. I got close enough. Din is here, which is very good, and we love her. Julia and Mike are married 100 days today. 100 days today. I sent them a text. I said the honeymoon's over. But they're here. They chose to celebrate the 100 days of marriage here. We're so happy that you... From Del Rey, all the way from Del Rey. The Plotkins are back from Israel. You were also in Israel, and you came back from Israel, so that's good to see you. The Carters are here. It's so good to see you. Hi, girls. Any more simchas? Any more simchas? Simchas once? Yes. Your grandson got engaged? Very nice. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. It's done. Good. I love teshuva. That's good. More simchas. Yes, Judd.
My son received a promotion in his job.
Your son? First of all, your son has a job. Let's begin with that. Yeah. Then he got a promotion. That's even and a raise. Okay. You have a little bit more discretionary money now. That's good. Jesse, how's camp going? Jesse Rosen is here, the CEO, the amazing CEO of the JCC. And the fact that he came, I guess, to breathe, because how many kids are there in camp now? 1,215 kids in camp every week. He needs Shabbat more than anyone else here. Very nice. My friends, yes, Neil. And of course, your daughter-in-law is here. We're so happy to have you, my friends. It's so nice to just be able to walk around and see smiling faces and share simchas. There's something even better. Yes, Judd.
You said some of us that here might have passed the bullet.
Dodge the bullet. Yes.
Some of us are here because we had a blessed week. We want to bless God.
And some of us are here. Oh my God. Rabbi Judd just said, some of us are here because we just had a blessed week and we didn't want to keep it to ourselves. We wanted to thank God for it. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to say, thank you, Adonai. Thank you for entrusting us with life. Thank you for sustaining us. Thank you for blessing us. If your bodies allow you and your soul so move you, please rise for the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Try and hug someone next to you.
Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shehechianu v'kimanu
we're going to sing Shalom Aleichem, we'll welcome the angels. But how can we welcome the angels before we welcome each other? So make the effort and turn to someone you might not know, even if you have to walk a row or two. Say hello and introduce yourself. Days ago, we stood under a chuppah, and you did what we as a people do, a metaphor with God, that every Shabbat we say, I do. Every Shabbat we remind ourselves of the beauty it is to be able to live, to live in this sense that we are not alone. In the middle of the week, sometimes we run around, we forget, but on Shabbat we get this chance to feel surrounded with this nefesh eter, with this additional soul that we receive. And here you are standing with your additional soul. And so we wish you Mazel Tov. May these 100 days multiple themselves many, 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 many times. Let's say the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת. Bring the Kiddush cup with you. You know, I'll talk a bit more about what I did in Israel, but part of it was a week, 10 days of study to kind of say, how do we as liberal Jews, and I'll explain that a little bit later, find a way to reconnect with some of the notions of Judaism that are old and seem on the surface to collide with this idea of liberalism. And when I say liberalism, I don't mean democratic, okay? But or as in the Democratic Party, because we have people from all spectrums of political, but liberal in this idea that we believe in human individuality, that we believe in intellect, in the pursuit of happiness and of an intellect pursuit of science and the way we live. So one of the things that we spoke about there is this idea of how hard it is for us to do ritual. Because ritual is, again, it kind of goes against we're told what to do, we're commanded to do, and I want to make decisions for myself. But there's something about tradition. Tradition cannot be passed on. And every single one of us sitting in this sanctuary wants tradition to go on. It cannot pass on just on the means of an idea. It has to be rooted in practice. You cannot help someone develop a love to a tradition, to a culture, to a theology, to a philosophy without having a practical, physical sense of it. And so whatever it is that we do, even if it's just Kiddush on Shabbat, even if you're on your way to the Kravis Center or to dinner with friends or to any other things, just that stopping for the 3 minutes and holding that cup and doing the ritual is what will allow that aspiration that we have to pass on that tradition. And I'm so happy to see so many families here with us today with young kids. Just do it. You know the Nike slogan, just do it? You know that's a shofar? No, seriously. The designer, that is a shofar. Just do it means, you have to force it. You just have to blow this. You have to do it. The mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah is to listen to the shofar. You just have to do it. It doesn't help to hold the shofar in your hand. You have to blow it. You have to hear it. You have to sound it. And so it's nice that we all have Kiddush cups at home. Let's, even when we're not at temple, find those 3 minutes. Those candles, take them out, light them, the Kiddush cup. Let's root ourselves back also in tradition without it being a sense of a loss of our individuality and our need to make a decision for ourselves. So here we are. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השעה. Amen. L'chaim to life. And Mazel Tov. 100 days. It's crazy. But it's good. Of course. Nobody's expecting you to count. I'll do the counting. Don't worry. Thank you, darling. We are on page 13. We're going to raise our voices. We're going to share our voices in welcoming Shabbat. Shiru Adonai. Shiru. The page.
Zamru Ladonai means to sing with whatever instrument you have. And we know we have our voices. We know we can move. And we say that God just wants whatever we have right now. So join with me again, Lai Lai. If you don't know it, you know those words. Lai 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 Lai. Oh
come back from these 10 days of study, and the problem is I still have to keep the service in its time frame. There's so much I want to share with you. There really isn't a greater gift that I could get from Temple Judea now that I can go every summer for 10 days and just be surrounded with another 200, 250 rabbis from all the world, Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, Reconstructionist, Renewal, and just study Torah Lishma, just for the sake of study. And so one of them, and every year there's a theme. I shared with you what the theme is. So every day there's a speaker that speaks about this, and then we study in Chavruta, and then we come back and we discuss it from different. So for example, one of the things was about Shabbat. That we have Shabbat, and Shabbat has its restrictions with it, and it has its demands of us, and yet we have so many things we want to do on our weekend, because Shabbat became the weekend sometime, who knows when. And so I'm not going to share much more, but there's something beautiful that we learned with this teacher about Kabbalistic, and we sing it every week in Lecha Dodi. Hey, Jonathan, he's barely awake up there. Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad. In a moment in Lecha Dodi, we're going to sing that. Adonai is one and his name is one. Obvious, right? We know that. What does Kabbalah have to say about this? It's amazing. As Shabbat becomes, because Shabbat is this cosmic union between Shekhinah, the queen, and God, the king. So God, the king, is ready. He adorns himself, ready for Shabbat. Shekhinah, the queen, can't adorn herself according to the Kabbalists, the mystics, if we don't welcome her. If we don't prepare ourselves, if we don't put on our white shirts, if we don't put on our talitot, if we don't prepare ourselves for Shabbat, and when we open the doors of Lecha Dodi, that's when the queen adorns herself. And then the queen and the king become one. And that is mind-boggling. Maybe only for rabbis who might like, okay, what did I do there? But usually when we say here, we have a lot of kids, they're smart kids. One and one is? One and one? One and one are? 1 plus 1? 2, right? That's what they teach you in school. Not in the mystic school. Because when the Shekhinah meets God, they become one. 1 and 1 in Shabbat is 1. When we meet the Shekhinah that comes through the door, when we totally embrace Shabbat, we're not we and Shabbat. We become one. Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad. And so it's not just about observing Shabbat. It's not just about, Shabbat is about the aspiration of what we can be when we are truly one with God. Just imagine that. Take a moment to chew that sentence. It's all about the aspiration of what we can be and what can be around us when we become one with all that's around us. I told you you're going to get a blessing today, so I'm going to invite the Podel family to join me at the doors, to open the doors to, in a moment, to help us become that one together with God. We are on page 20.
Shabbat
Let's become one. Ready? Lecha, Dodi, Lecha, Dodi, Lecha, Kala, Ele Shabbat Nekavela. Let's all rise. Here's the moment. Ohi beshalom ater v'ala, gam besimcha u'zola, tochem ne'am segula, boi chala. So you received a blessing here 11 years ago, and we're going to bless you because this is what grandparents and parents do to kids on Shabbat. Because that's the aspiration of what could be, that we live in a world of blessings, that we live in a world of intimacy and closeness. And so we'll say, Yivarchech Adonai v'yishmerech, may God bless you and protect you. Yair Adonai panav elayich v'yichunech, may God always shine God's countenance upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elayich v'yasem lach shalom, may God always be present in our lives, and may God grant us the ability to be and to live in peace. Amen. Please have a seat. Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bene Shabbat Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat. Please remain standing. Bene Shabbat Nekavela. Because we move to page 28 to acknowledge the presence of God with the Baruch Hu. Having suffering jet lag, Jonathan and I woke this morning at 4 a.m. and made our way to the beach. And the moon is at the last end. The month is about to end, maybe another day or two. There's a last sliver of the moon. And once again, Judaism reminds us that life is all about a cycle. There are times that you will be in the darkness, and there's just going to be a little thread of light to hold on to. And then suddenly, 2 weeks later, it could be a full night where it looks almost like then, and then once again, we will have to contract ourselves, and then we'll be able to expand ourselves. And that is what it is. And as a reward for going that early, and being that we got to see a beautiful turtle making her way down after she finished laying her eggs, and just once again be reminded of the wonder of nature and of creation. And that is what we do. Every evening when we pray together, we just take a moment. So take a moment to think, what in nature wowed you this week or last week or a month ago or 50 years ago that you still remember to the core of your being? And when you think of it, reminds you of this amazing world, of the amazing work of creation. And when you have that image, and mine is really fresh, you say with us on the bottom of page 30, Uma'avir yom u'me'evir layla, Uma'avir ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv v'aravim, תורתך, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת. So for many years, and I put a lot of mezuzot on the doorposts of your homes. I come to your homes, I put a mezuzah, all our bar mitzvah, not mitzvah kids, right? And I always have this beautiful teaching. It's not mine. That the mezuzah is in the, in the diagonal. Why? Anybody remember? Because it has the Shema in it, right? And the Shema says, say the Shema when you wake up, and say the Shema when you lie down. And so the rabbi said we should put the mezuzah so that we remember when we wake up. No, we should put the mezuzah when we lie down, when we wake up, when we lie down. Jason, it is funny, but not that funny. But I love your laughter. It's great. But the rabbi said, you know what? Let's put it in the middle. It's a compromise. It's compromise. And we had a class about compromise. And Micha Goodman, an amazing teacher, actually suggested something different that I'm still thinking if I could define it as maybe the teaching that will change my life and yours. And he said, you know what? Trying to find the middle sometimes actually puts you in a place where you can't decide if you're going to the left or going to the right. It's called the borderline ass, right? I think that when you won't. And so, but that's not. And then he says, maybe we should look at it differently. Maybe we should look at it from Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to speak and a time to be silent, a time to plant and a time to uproot. It doesn't say what's good or bad. It doesn't say that laughing is good and crying is bad. Sometimes laughter can be bad and crying can be good and vice versa. All it says is that sometimes we have to be on this side and sometimes we have to be on this side. We can't always find that. And we need to understand that it's okay to be on this side, not hate the person that is on this side, because there's times, everything, hakol be'ito, everything in its proper time. So sometimes if we stop seeing the other person from the other side as evil, and we say, no, we have to meet in the middle. No, we don't have to meet in the middle. This year you can have it your way. Maybe in 10 years from now we're going to do it my way, because we have to find that way. And maybe that is what the Vahavta is, and that is how the Vahavta that we are commanded to love Adonai our God can translate better to Vahavta le'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow as you love yourself, right? Because if you love the idea that you have while you're standing here, and she loves the idea that she has when you're loving here, it might not be possible to meet in the middle. We just have to accept that sometimes we'll live on both sides and we'll kind of alter. And so with that thought in mind, we will say in English and remind ourselves that it is up to us to find whatever we believe is compromise, whether the middle or just allowing people to live on the sides. I shall love Adonai my God with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my might. I will take to heart these instructions with which you charge me this day. I will impress them upon my children and grandchildren. I will recite them when I stay at home and when I'm away, when I lie down and when I get up. I will bind them as a sign in my hand and let them serve as a symbol on my forehead. I will inscribe them on the doorpost of my house and on my gates. Thus I shall remember to observe all your commandments and to be holy to my God. You are Adonai my God, who brought me out of the land of Egypt to be my God. You are Adonai my God. This week we're finishing the book of Bamidbar in the desert. We're getting close to Deuteronomy. The 40 years of the desert are about to be over, but in all honesty, they never will be. We're still in the desert. We're always in the desert. And we're always singing this song that reminds us to hold on to courage and to hope, to fight despair.
את יעקב, גלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Tomorrow there's going to be a protest in Sweden. I don't know if you heard about it. And in that protest, the Swedish government, the courts have allowed the protest to burn a Bible. A few months back, there was a protest in front of a mosque in which the Quran was burnt. I wonder if there's going to be a protest in front of a church where a New Testament is being burnt. And I just don't know what to do about that. The need to define yourself not by who you are, but by what you're not. The need to take somebody else's belief and to set it up on fire and to make a point. What good comes out of that? I'm not sure. But despite protests, both from Israel, from the United States, from the Swedish government, decided this is who they are, this is what they do, and this is what pluralism looks like, and that's why we sometimes have to fight with pluralism. Well, I don't think pluralism is the right to hurt somebody else or the right to tell somebody else that their symbols or what is important to them is worth burning. Pluralism should be what page 43 teaches us. It should be about love and understanding. I don't have to agree with you, but I can still love you. I can still understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I can just offer you peace and friendship so that we together can shelter from life storms. Because life storms, they don't differ between Christians and Muslims and Jews. Life storms, they threaten to drown all of us together. And the only way we can get through them is by standing strong together, each with their own faith, without having to put anyone's faith down. So let's sing, let's pray together for that kind of pluralism to rule.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
We're on page 46. If you can, we'll ask you to rise and face east. Or you can face west, but just make sure you're looking
All the way around.
all the way back. I just came back from Jerusalem. It's really one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I was in Tel Aviv, and it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And Israel just continues with everything going on, with all its trouble, with all its challenges, to still be a place that makes you really want to believe in peace, because there's no other solution but peace, to continue to see that beautiful piece of land, God's land, flourish and be a light unto the nations of what is possible when you just learn to live side by side, Jews and Arabs, Mizrahi and Ashkenazi, Orthodox and Reform, secular and conservative. And so when we see what's happening, at times we lose words, and so we start by saying, God, please Help me find the words to express the multiple feelings that I have as I look towards Jerusalem, towards Israel. Take a few minutes for silent prayer. You can follow the Siddur from page 48 to page 62. On the right side is the traditional, on the left side there are other alternative prayers trying to hit a chord in your heart. You could do what I do, is just close the Siddur together and enjoy this gift of 2-3 minutes of silence where I don't have to decide what I'm praying about, because somehow these prayers find their own words, and the prayers that come from my heart and from my soul, they guide me, they wrap me, they surround me, they lead me. All I have to do is be present and listen to my heart, to my soul. But to do that we need silence, so let's stand in silence for a few moments. Take a deep breath and just feel how each deep breath fills you with strength. Each deep breath fills you with light, with conviction. Maybe I dare even say with faith. Let each breath peel off some of the cynicism that sticks to us all week long as we deal with nonsense. And as you feel that cynicism fall off, see if there's place for the light to come in. With each deep breath, a bigger, stronger, more profound sense of peace, of Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Olam, Tasik le'olam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Olam, Tasik le'olam.
You took a quick rest sitting down, and now we'll stand up again. If you can and if you wish, this is our healing talit for those who are visiting and do not know. It's a place that is full with energy, and if you're in special need for healing today, no one will ask you why you're standing under the healing talit. You could just be here. So make your way under the healing talit if you feel that you need a little bit more love, energy, light today. You might be praying for yourself, for a loved one. You might be praying for healing of body, of soul, of spirit. And if you're not under our healing talit, see if you can come a bit closer. If the person next to you seems like they're okay with it, just put your hand on their shoulder and kind of, yeah, my shoulder's a shoulder too. Good. I need it today. And just allow yourself to feel what it means to be supported, by someone standing behind you by your side. And through that hand on your shoulder, you're connected to almost everyone in this sanctuary. It means that are beyond words, but just by action, that little action of a hand reaching out to say you're not alone. Say the name of those you're praying for, and we pray together. God of our ancestors, even when sometimes things look so dark and as if there is no hope, there is always hope. There's always the human ability to reach out and to remind us we are not alone on this journey towards healing of body and healing of soul. Please heal us. Amen. Look at the person next to you. If it's with consent, give them a hug. Gee. Thank you. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Shabbat Shalom. We are in the end of the book of Bamidbar, the end of the book of Numbers. It's a double Torah portion called Matot Masa'eh. And Masa'eh is really a hard Torah portion to find meaning in if you don't look hard enough. Because really Masa'eh has this long, when I say long, over 42 list of places describing the journey of the Israelites in the desert. And so they left this place and went to this place and left this place and went to this place and left this place and left. It's a little bit like when Google sends you your map history. So you drove 9 miles to the temple and 9 miles back to Stewart, and then the next day 9 miles back to Nineveh. So Rambam, Maimonides says when we see these kinds of texts, immediately we kind of tend to say, just let it go. Somebody missed the mark over here. They put something that shouldn't have been in the Torah, and let's just skip it. But he says, no. It's very easy to find meaning when there's a commandment or there's a story about a sacrifice of your son and God testing you. So we can speak for hours. But what do you do with this list? Alachat kama v'chama, the Rambam says, you have to find meaning. You have to find meaning in the most mundane list. It looks like a grocery list of 42 stations. And what is that purpose, according to Maimonides? And I love that teaching, and I think it's very relevant for where we live today, how we live today, who we are today. Maimonides says that it's a miracle that the people of Israel actually followed Moses for 40 years in the desert. It's really a miracle, right? And it's no, don't say the joke about Moses was a Jewish man. He didn't ask for instructions. That's not the reason why we, yeah. But when God, yeah, you all know that. When we traveled in the desert, when God decided that this generation of Jews will not make it to the Holy Land, one would think that the most natural thing for them would be to turn around and say, "See ya, we're going back to Egypt." Why would I walk with you? I mean, we left Egypt under this understanding that you're taking us to a promised land. Now you changed your mind. You're punishing us. See ya. We're going to go back to Egypt. Might be a bit uncomfortable at first. Might have to, but there's good cucumbers. It's in the, they say there's cucumbers. It's in the Torah. You could check that. But instead, the people of Israel decide to follow Moses for another 40 years. 39 really, but and doing that they know that they're not going to go into the land. How many of you are willing to go on a journey that will last 40 years knowing that you're not going to be the one enjoying its fruit? Think about that. If I told you that you right now had to go and stand at the corner of some street and protest for something for 40 years, every day, for 40 years, and you will not see a change. You are not going to see whatever it is that you're protesting for changing. Your kids will. How many of us would say, you know what, let them fight for it? Why do I have to worry? And so that is the miracle. It's a miracle. And then the Rambam says, so why do we have to state all the names? Because the people in the first generation after a miracle, they of course, they've seen the miracle. They believe in the miracle. The generation after heard the story of the miracle from people who saw it. But what happens later with time? We tend to, it's diluted. We tend to forget. And people will start saying, you know what, they didn't really walk in the desert for 40 years. There was really a nice oasis with nice water. They really didn't do that. And so for Moses to say every station, and every station we know, a place that doesn't have water and doesn't have any fruit and has really nothing with it, and they kept going from one station to another, to another, to another, is to show us that this miracle of the people going after God and trusting in that promise and willing to work so hard and to make that sacrifice so that their kids will enjoy it, not them. That is why we need that list, so that we, sitting here today, 3,000 years later, will be able to ask ourselves, can we be as good as them? Because we live in really difficult times. We're entering into an election year in the United States, and we all know what that's going to mean in terms of the tensions and the divisiveness. I just came back from Israel, where for 28 straight weeks, people are standing out, 200,000, 250,000 Israelis every week, which is an equivalent for 16 million or 17 million Americans going out to the street every week to fight for what they believe is the way they want to see their country happening. And I have to say to you, no matter whether you believe this reform is necessary or not necessary, it's done right or not, I stood there in Tel Aviv for the first time. If you have never had the experience of standing with 180,000 people who are all united in their faith that things can change and can be better, it is a overwhelming feeling. As tired as I was, I could not fall asleep that entire night after that experience. It's just unbelievable. And so we have this list today, and I think that it demands of us to ask ourselves, do we still believe in that miracle? We might not see a change, not in this country and not in Israel, for 40 years. Or for 50 years, until the political atmosphere changes, until people once again learn how to speak with each other, until we learn how to court. But are we willing to fight for the aspiration that it's possible? Are we willing to fight for what we believe in, what we think this country should be? And this country and Israel is not going to be a country where the other people are going to leave. They're not leaving. I don't care if you're on this side of the map or that. The other side ain't leaving. And guess what? They're also probably not changing. Can we walk in this desert? Can we trust in that godly element in human beings that will eventually bring us to a promised land, even though we in this room, except for these young people over here, will probably never see it happening? And that is why this text is so important. That is why this text demands of us to remind ourselves we're not the first ones who walked in a desert for 40 years knowing that we might not see that we will definitely not see the promised land. And yet at the same time have this faith in whatever it is that we determine as God to lead us to that place that is the God within us, that place of light and strength and love. So I want to end and invite Abby to come back to the Bima and end with the words that we say at the end of every journey through a book of the Torah. Chazak, chazak v'nitchazek. May we continue, my friends, to walk through the journeys that we are, whether here in Israel, whether it's in our personal life, from step to step to step, knowing that we might not see the results that we want in our lifetime, but that God willing, there is the promised land, that our kids, our grandchildren might enjoy it, and that we will never lose hope, and more important, never lose faith. Shabbat Shalom.
Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. As we sing, we link ourselves to those who came before. And we're one with all those yet to come. Our strength, it will endure. Be strong, let us strengthen one another. You can join me. Be strong, let us celebrate our lives. Be strong, be strong, let us strengthen one another. Chazak, 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 v'nitchazek. Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Before we conclude with our Kaddish and final prayer, just wanted to thank all of you here, close to 100 people sitting here and more at home, that have proven that you would come even if we don't feed you. Sometimes people say, oh, why is Temple Judea full every Friday? It's because of the oneg. It's a great oneg. You know, we came to Temple Judea 13 years ago. There was exactly that month an article that came out in the URJ that says, you're only as good as your oneg. And we made a strategic decision to improve the oneg to a level that and by the way, this idea of oneg Shabbat, we'll talk another time, was another amazing thing. What does oneg mean? It's unbelievable, this idea of what can Shabbat, how Shabbat can elevate you. That is the oneg of Shabbat. We translated it to food today, and maybe we have to find a way to translate it again to a spiritual oneg. But thank you. You all know that we said goodbye to Egli last week, and today is a week hiatus. But I want to invite you all next Friday to meet Kay and Linda, I believe, right? Yeah. Our new caterers. We had a tasting here. When we did it, it was the best interview process we had in a long time in the temple. And They're amazing, and we're going to have such beautiful onegs, and our physical onegs of Shabbat are going to elevate our spiritual onegs. So that's happening next. But don't worry, on the way out, we do have challah for you. So make sure to take a challah with you on the way out. And I know that you're here. The food is a supplement of oneg. You're here because this means something so special, and you're here because someone in your lives shared this love of Judaism with you. And many of you are here to remember those that shared that Jewish path with you. And that is why we end with helping you carry that memory that is always painful and hopefully changing to a blessing, reminding you that they loved being Jewish and you love being Jewish. And thank God we have a place where we can love being Jewish. And so today, as a congregation, we turn now to remember those who were taken from us in recent weeks, the last 30 days. Nancy Cohen, wife of Martin Cohen, and Samuel L. Frieder, brother of Dick Frieder, and Stephen Schindler, son of Elaine Schindler, Ann Tannen, congregant and friend, and Fred Weisberg, father of Perry. If you're a mourner, we invite you, if you feel comfortable, to stand so that we can offer you that love and support. And we also want to invite those who are here in their name of their loved ones who passed at this time in seasons past as read to stand if they wish. Jonathan Austin, Fred Exelband, Joseph Brown, Fred Call, Lawrence Feldman, Barbara Fields, Patricia Glickstein, Alan Goldstein, Samuel Goldstein, Sue Goodman, Harry Gornstein, Milton Gottlieb, Doris Gould, Milton Greenwald, Sam Hallen, Carol Kaplan, Michael Kaplan, Joe Katz, Judith Kelly, Carl Kittroser, Helen Lovell, Morris Mills, Molly Mogul, Harry Oplaski, Ida Plonsky, Eric Rosh Singer, Murray Schneider, Isidore Schwartz, Harry Sherman, Harry Schernkel, Fred Robert Smith, Bessie Sotnick, Robert Spiegel, Janet Tansky, Zelda Trattenberg, Leonard Walk, Eleanor Wertheimer, and Gerald Yablans. If I mispronounce the name, I apologize. You're welcome to either repeat the name, and if there's other names you wish to add, please stand and add the names.
Claire Bronstein.
Sherry Schwartz.
And as a congregation, let's all rise in support of those who are mourning. The Kaddish, which we read slowly so that we can allow everyone to pronunciate it and to say it, is on 294. 294. Itkadal v'itkadash shemei rabba בעלמא דברך רעותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רב אמין שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony and I bring peace to us, to all of Israel, to all of humankind, to which we say amen. I want to thank you, Ron, as always. Cantor Abby, thank
Welcome
you.
back, Rabbi.
Our security team outside and wherever. We're not supposed to say it out loud.
I know.
Thank you all for being. Thank you for helping each other elevate Shabbat and remind us of our aspiration to live in joy and to act so that we can be better, so that this world can be better. Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. don't forget a challah. Doesn't God? You stand over yourself, Shabbat.
That would have been a great help. We still got it. We should have put it.
help you sleep at night?